If you're in America or anywhere across the world, you are hearing and have heard about the monkeypox virus. Currently in the United States, 7,510 people have positively tested for monkeypox. Worldwide, people tested for monkeypox is now at the number of 28,220. If you know, this news is being spread across every social media platform, the CDC, the National American Organization, every scientist, every vaccine company, official, politician is talking about this virus that is spreading across nations, that is coming to our front doors. And just like COVID, it is bringing mass hysteria. We are afraid. We just came out / still are in a pandemic. And we all remember when we was in the depths of it, when everyone was going to the stores, buying everything, washing everything, sanitizing everything, wearing masks, wearing gloves, how we were afraid to leave our house, to hug people, to talk to anybody. How this mass hysteria caused higher crime rates. It caused people to lose their jobs because no one could go in. It just happened a year, 2 years ago. So it's not something we could easily forget. We know how it was when COVID hit, right? And so now that the monkeypox is around, it's doing the same exact thing. It is causing mass hysteria. People are afraid. The news outlets, the scientists, the doctors, the government is putting out pictures of what the monkeypox can do to you. The CDC is coming out, giving us symptoms, giving us ways to prevent it. Every day, giving us new statistics of how many people have contracted it, how you can get it, where you can get it, where it originated from. I know for sure if you're in the United States or anywhere on this planet, your eyes are glued to the screen when it comes to monkeypox because it's a scary thing. I think just like when it was with COVID, it's very important to know. But I would at least think that the scientists and the organizations would get it right this time because of how wrong they got it when it came to the COVID virus. When COVID came out, nobody on this planet knew what it was about, how it was spreading, what the symptoms were. One day you look at the TV, it's spread by coughing, it's spread by sneezing. It was downplayed as the flu. People were dropping left and right when it came to mortality rates. Then they said you could get it through sex, and then they retracted and said you couldn't get it through sex. And then they said you can get it from kissing. Then they retracted it. And every moment the CDC would give us information and retract that information. And it left every person I knew confused. No one knew what to believe. No one knew where to look. No one knew who to trust. The scientists were admitting they didn't know what was happening, where it was coming from, how it was coming. And so I would at least think that you as government officials, you as scientists, as doctors, as medical professionals would at least learn from that mistake and see something as serious as the monkeypox and say, we're not going to do that again. We as Americans, we as human beings are already afraid of this virus, afraid to talk to people, to touch people, to look a person in a way. We don't know if it's transferred through air, through touch. And now you're putting out the National American Organization that if you are a gay or bisexual male, please reduce your sexual partners so this virus, if you do have it, is spread less likely. Now, being a person that is a part of the queer community, this is very offensive to me. Because I feel like not after year, but decade after decade, you scientists do not get it right. And I don't know if it's just me, but I remember when the 80s was around and HIV was spreading and coming out on the streets. It was a disease attached to the queer community. It was a disease attached to gay men, to bisexual men. And what happened? That caused mass hysteria. And it got so bad to the point where people were looking at gay men, queer people, anybody of the LGBTQ community, and they were beating them up, causing hate crimes, causing violence. People were being murdered because of the fear that they might be carrying HIV, they might be carrying AIDS. And so if you didn't learn from that, here you go again in 2022 with monkeypox and trying to put this virus on a particular group in a community, pretty much telling the American people, the people of the world, that if you just avoid gay people, you will not contract this. You are telling people that are having sex that if you have monkeypox or if you assume you have monkeypox, have sex with a condom for 8 weeks. So how do we go from it being only transferred through orientation, sexual orientation, to, oh, it could just be transferred through sex? Last time I checked, every human on this planet has sex. Not just queer people, but straight people. Hell, even if you want to put a little joke in there, asexuals have sex too. So what gets me is you have this deadly virus that people are afraid of. People are looking up the images of what it can do to your body. They're looking at the symptoms. They're checking their skin. They're getting nervous. They're putting their mask on. They're putting gloves on. They're not letting people into their homes. And then you put in the freaking news headline, if you stay away from gay and bisexual men, you will be okay. Did you not think the harm that you could bring to a collective when it comes to this world? LGBTQ people are already the minority. We are already targeted, oppressed people. And just like AIDS and HIV, which straight people can get AIDS and HIV too. Let's make that clear. It's not just a queer disease. Just like how queer people can get monkeypox, straight people can get monkeypox too. Did you not think you putting this disease on us could cause actual harm? Mass hysteria causes fear. It causes people to react in bad ways that are unnecessary. Just like Exhibit A, when COVID came around, how people were standing in line for toilet paper because they thought they were never going to get toilet paper again. How people were stealing food and doing everything they could to get cleaning supplies when it didn't have to be that way. How people were stealing masks and stuff because they thought their lives were over. And that's how we're feeling now when it comes to the monkeypox virus. We don't know if this is the end of our lives. We don't know where it's going to take, how long it's going to be around. Yes, there is a vaccine and scientists are telling us to get the vaccine. But from BBC News, 22 hours ago, they released an article saying monkeypox can be spread when someone is in close contact with the infected person. The virus can enter the body through broken skin, the respiratory tract, and through the eyes, nose, or mouth. It has not previously been described as a sexually transmitted infection, but it can be passed on by close contact. Guidance is advising anyone with the virus to abstain from sex while they have symptoms. While there is currently no available evidence that monkeypox can be spread in sexual fluids, people confirmed to have the virus are advised to use condoms for 8 weeks after infection as a precaution. It can be spread by contact with infected animals such as monkeys, rats, and squirrels, or by virus-contaminated objects such as bedding or clothing. Then they proceeded to say, although some of the cases have been seen in gay and bisexual men, anyone who comes into close contact with someone who has monkeypox could be potentially get the virus. The UK Health Security Agency has said a notable portion of the recent cases in the UK and Europe have been found in gay and bisexual men. So we are particularly encouraging them to be alert to the symptoms and seek if concerned. I understand how that sounds, because they see a higher flow of cases in gay and bisexual men. you are still making it seem as if they are the ones that caused this virus. Because even though BBC News did a great job of wording that, National American Organization put out an article themselves a few hours after that BBC News article, and they expressed how the virus was coming from gay and bisexual men, not how it was a large caseload in gay and bisexual men, but it was coming from them. I understand the United States of America is under a state of emergency, but if we haven't learned anything from COVID or when the HIV epidemic was around, we cannot be spreading false information that we don't know. When you are dealing with the public, when you are dealing with scared people, unknowledgeable people, and you are telling them information, being a medical professional, being a scientist, working for the CDC, we are here to listen, because that is your job, is to give us correct, safe information for us to take and to help prevent actions of getting whatever virus it is we're fighting for at that time. And what I've noticed day after day, decade after decade, is that these scientists are not doing that. They are not waiting to the point where they have clear, concrete evidence before expressing to the public what they found. They are doing very much trial and error. It's, okay, I found out it spread through respiratory tract. I found out it spread through ear, nose, and mouth. So let me announce that. Okay, it might be spread through sexual relations. Let me find out that. And then they find another subject where it's not that. And then you retract that statement from the public, not realizing that as a scientist, as a medical professional, as anyone part of the CDC, once you put something out there, people are going to take hold of that information and hold on to it. Whether or not you come out again and say, hey, I retract what I said, hey, what I said was false, whatever you initially put out there into the world, people are going to take, hold on to it, and believe it. That's why it's so important when it comes to your positions and stature in life, that whatever news you spread, you have to stand 10 toes down on it, especially when it comes to something as serious as viruses and as infectious diseases. We, as the human race, a lot of times have to depend on the findings of the CDC, the findings of scientists and medical professionals. And I don't think, notice that the false news you put out there is affecting and can hurt and literally murder innocent people if you do not come at it from a factual standpoint. The reality is, no matter what sexual orientation, what race, what gender, what religion you are, people are having sex. People are doing some type of sexual relations. And I think from the jump, no matter how severe it was or how significant the cases was in a particular group, I feel like the CDC and scientists should have addressed everyone and said, hey, if you are currently sexually active right now, as of today, do everything you possibly can to lower your risk of transmitting fluids, of doing any type of sexual acts. Hopefully, as the American people, as the people that live on this earth, we continue to read up on CDC updates and guidelines and information, and not just read one article, take it and run with it. I don't think you understand how many people are willing to just see, oh, this disease is attached to gay and bi people, and not realize that they still have to protect themselves, or not realize that just because it might be shown more in gay and bisexual people, that doesn't mean you have the right to go out there and attack and abuse and hurt them and cause hate crimes because of your fear that this disease might come to you, this virus might come to you. What I do know is that there are vaccines that the CDC is working on and are providing. If you have the ability to go out and get that vaccine, please do. If you have the ability to do whatever you can to stay safe, but do not let this mass hysteria put you in so much fear that you end up hurting others, that you end up hurting yourself in some way. Knowledge is key. And even though I think the misinformation these officials are providing is absolutely disgraceful, you have to realize at the end of the day, it is information, and it is them trying their best to help us as a nation. All I ask is that when it comes to news outlets, when it comes to scientists, when it comes to giving the public updates, just please do better. Because seeing those articles, especially, like I said, from huge ass corporations like BBC publishing stuff like that, it's very scary. The last thing I want is to see my bisexual brothers and gay men being hurt, being abused, being ostracized, being attacked because of the people they sleep with, because of their sexual orientation. I think when it comes to this, we just need to think a little bit more before we say, and do everything you can to stay safe out there. I love you guys. Thank you for listening.